Well, I'm being kicked out. For the past few months, I've been moving a lot of stuff into the storage building and even started using it as a shop space and recording area for some of my videos. If you've been around for at least a couple of videos, you'll probably be familiar with it. It was a great location, and I finally had some space to stretch. However, as you may have guessed by the video title, this was not going to be the case for much longer. This is my journey of getting kicked out and shoving 1,700 square feet worth of stuff into just 250.
So, long story short, this is the part that you all don't usually see as far as when I'm working on stuff. And there's a big problem because I'm not going to be here much longer. So, the building actually got bought out, and another guy has bought it, and our contract is not being renewed, which is fine. Been very nice about it, been an awesome dude about it, but I need to find a home for all of that.
So, without wasting too much time, I decided to go ahead and take my first load over when I went to go over and measure stuff. This is going to require quite a lot of transport, so I wanted to maximize every single trip that I made.
So, it's not definitely not terrible. Echoes a lot, but it's empty. But let's do some quick measurements.
I knew from the get-go this was going to be a bit of a challenge as far as space management, but I did have an idea brewing that I hadn't really said on camera yet, and that idea involved shelves. A lot of shelves. See, I knew that floor space was going to be extremely important, especially with all the bikes that I had to put in here. One of the ways I came up with to counteract this was to keep as much stuff off the ground as humanly possible. Now the bikes I can't really do a ton about, at least not with this space. However, what I can do a lot about is the parts. Pretty much everything was in totes, and they don't need to be on the ground. So what I decided to do was use these modular shelves that I got a killer deal on Facebook Marketplace, and then just use the bottom half of the shelves to put bikes under, and only use the top two rows of the shelf. I also used this time to bring over the tires when I brought over the shelves. This ended up being really great because these were all the way at the back, so I was able to get these out of the way early. Before I brought any more bikes over, I decided it would be a much better idea to just bring as many parts over as I possibly could and get them on the shelves first, because no matter how well I managed this space, I knew for a fact that it was going to be completely clustered and full of bikes. So if I brought all the parts early, it would be much easier to get them on the shelf.
I'm going to be getting a lot of the shelves today, and mainly I'm going to be trying to get this big wooden one that was made by hand, if you couldn't tell by the excellent craftsmanship.
While I'm moving this, I want to take a moment to just point out that this did take me about a month to do, and I'm editing down probably close to 30 something hours of footage and condensing it super hard just so it's enjoyable and viewable. So if you do enjoy the video, a like is very much appreciated. It takes about a second for you to do, but it helps me a ton. I appreciate each and every one of you. We did surpass 1,000 subs not too long ago, and I hope we can keep the momentum going. But if you do like this sort of content and want to see where my journey goes, then a subscription is definitely welcome. And if you think there's anything I could have done better as far as storage space or just content in general, then feel free to leave a comment. Ironically enough, taking the parts was the more tedious part. You would expect that to be the bikes, but really at this point I'm so used to moving bikes around that I'd prefer to move them over the parts. But now that we were running out of parts to take, it was time to load up some two-wheel machines. So I currently have, I think, 8 on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. The most I've had on here, I think, is 10, right around there. And one of those was a very tiny bike. In fact, it was that tiny dirt bike way in there, right in the storage unit. In case you were wondering how I usually transport a large quantity of bikes. Anyway, let's get to unloading because this is going to take forever and I don't know what the weather's going to do. Alright, this is what we're working with now. So, and also I anticipated having bikes in the other unit and I don't yet, so some of this will be alleviated by that, and I'm also going to try to sell some, so the number will go down over time, it will get less cramped. But as of now, that's what we're looking like. I am out of breath. I am hot. I'm fucking going home. So if you're going, hey Michael, what about a lot of that stuff that I saw in the unit that I didn't see footage of you moving and I don't see it in the new smaller unit? Well, that's actually going in the other 10 by 15, or really more like a 10 by 11. That unit is getting turned into my workshop space, and I wanted to separate the two videos not because I want you all to watch multiple videos, but because I felt like combining all of this footage into one would make it drag on quite a bit and make it harder to follow. If that sort of thing interests you, then I highly recommend checking out that video, which will come out not too long after this one.
Alright, so this is the last load with the big trailer. So I got the scooter and the Gucci, which were the last two bikes, and then obviously the mower four-wheeler. And then the biggest thing is the Kawasaki sign. Also this little computer desk here.
With that, the final few bikes and other objects were moved over into this unit. I still wasn't quite done at this point with the storage unit that I was turning into a shop, which I highly recommend checking out that video because that is definitely going to be the more interesting video of the two. Not that I made this for no reason, but I did want to document the progress at very least so that it wasn't a complete and total shock that I was in another unit altogether after we had just already changed scenery. If you enjoyed this, then a like, comment, and subscription would be very much appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching. Rubber side down, and I will see you next time.
And just barely. I don't even know if I'll be able to close this door. Just barely.